It was supposed to be the most peaceful day of the summer, my birthday. The grill was smoking, music softly playing, kids running across the yard, and laughter filling the air. For once, life felt simple. But in our neighborhood, peace never lasted long. Every party, every gathering, every moment of joy seemed to send one person into a frenzy. Karen, our HOA's self-appointed rule enforcer. She had already complained about lawn colors, trash can angles, and even the sound of my wind chimes. That afternoon, I caught her peeking from behind her blinds, clutching a notebook like she was documenting a crime. At first, I brushed it off, but as the smoke from the barbecue drifted into the breeze, I had no idea she was preparing her boldest stunt yet, and it wouldn't just ruin my party. It would backfire in the most unexpected way. The first hint came when my phone buzzed. A text from another neighbor. Karen's pacing her driveway. "Be careful." I glanced over and sure enough, there she was, hands on hips, lips pressed tight, eyes darting toward us. I tried to ignore it, turning back to the sizzling food. But minutes later, she vanished from sight. Something about that made the air feel heavier. Guests began whispering, wondering if we were about to have an incident. I'd dealt with her petty HOA warnings before, but there was something different about her today. A sharp determination in her movements, like she was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. My stomach tightened. I thought maybe she'd send an email or a nasty HOA letter, but what she actually did next made my heart drop, and it would bring flashing lights right to my driveway. The sound hit us before we saw them. 2 police cars, rolling slowly into the cul-de-sac, lights flashing against the late afternoon sun. The laughter stopped. The music died. My friends and family froze as the officers stepped out, scanning the scene. I looked over at Karen, who stood tall at the edge of her yard, arms crossed, smug smile in place. She had actually called the cops. On a birthday party. My mind raced through possible accusations, noise complaints, trespassing, illegal gathering. It didn't matter. The damage was already done. My neighbors peeked from behind curtains, ready for drama. My heart pounded as one officer approached me while the other spoke quietly with Karen. But within moments, their faces shifted. Something about their reaction made me realize this was not going to go the way Karen had planned. Karen wasted no time putting on a show. She gestured wildly toward my yard, pointing at the grill like it was a bonfire threatening the neighborhood. She motioned toward the music speaker, the balloons, even the birthday cake, as if every detail was part of a criminal conspiracy. I could see her lips moving fast, no doubt layering her story with exaggerated claims about rowdy crowds and disturbing the peace. But as she spoke, the officer's expression didn't harden. It softened. He glanced at the kids playing tag, the neighbors chatting quietly, and the food neatly arranged. Karen's voice grew sharper, her arms moving faster, as if she could will him into sharing her outrage. But something in his calm demeanor told me she was losing ground. And then the officer turned toward me and smiled. The officer asked a few simple questions: how long we'd been outside, what the occasion was, if we were staying within noise limits. I answered truthfully, and he nodded approvingly. Meanwhile, Karen hovered behind him, clearly impatient for her justice. But then came the twist. He told me there was nothing wrong. In fact, he complimented the smell of the barbecue. The other officer joined in, even asking if there was cake left. Karen's face went pale, the smugness draining away. She tried one last desperate attempt, waving a printed copy of HOA rules she must have pulled from her house. But the officers weren't interested. One of them turned to her, speaking low enough that I couldn't hear, but whatever he said made her stiffen, her arms locking to her sides. When the officers walked back toward their cars, Karen lingered for a moment, clearly unsure if she should follow them or retreat. My guests watched silently, waiting for the outcome. Then one officer called over his shoulder, "Enjoy your party," and gave me a friendly wave. Karen froze, her mouth opening slightly like she was about to protest. But she didn't. Instead, she turned sharply on her heel and marched back into her house, slamming the door behind her. The entire party exhaled at once, laughter bubbling up again. But I knew this wasn't just a small win. Something in Karen's reaction told me that the officers hadn't just dismissed her complaint, they'd warned her. And whatever that warning was, it would change the balance in our neighborhood. Later that week, an HOA meeting notice appeared in my mailbox. Out of curiosity, I attended. The atmosphere was tense. Karen sat stiffly at the end of the table, avoiding eye contact with everyone. When the agenda reached neighborhood harmony, the HOA president cleared his throat and announced that false reports to authorities would result in fines and possible removal from the HOA board. A few eyes flicked toward Karen. Mine did too. Her cheeks burned red and she didn't speak for the rest of the meeting. I left with a quiet smile. My birthday party had ended in laughter, good food, and a neighborhood united against unnecessary drama. And as for Karen, she never called the cops on me again. Some people learn from kindness, others need to make a very public mistake first.